Welcome to Think Hub, where we dive deep into the creative genius shaping our world, one idea at a time. Wilbur and Orville Wright did everything together. They launched a local newspaper, opened a bike shop, and invented the first airplane as a team. Their bond was so strong that Wilbur remarked they thought together, but they also fought together. They had frequent arguments, often starting at breakfast, continuing through lunch, and spilling over into dinner. On one occasion, their sister Catherine was so fed up with their bickering that she exclaimed, "If you don't stop arguing, I'll leave home." Their childhood was marked by encouragement to stand up for themselves. Milton Wright, their father and a bishop, filled his library with books by atheists and agnostics, urging his children to read and engage in discussions about those viewpoints. This practice of debating fostered their confidence to defend their ideas. And without that courage, the invention of the airplane may never have happened. In the early days of aviation, the concept of human flight was deemed impossible. The Washington Post stated at the turn of the 20th century, "It is a fact that man can't fly." Many had tried to achieve controlled flight, but none succeeded. In 1896, German aviator Otto Lilienthal tragically lost his life when a sudden gust of wind caused him to lose control of his glider. His method of adjusting the machine's center of gravity by shifting his body ultimately proved to be impractical and dangerous. Despite lacking a college education or formal technical training, the Wright brothers boldly pursued their dream of flight. Orville expressed their conviction by stating, "We could not understand that there was anything about a bird that would enable it to fly that could not be built on a larger scale and used by man." One of their most heated arguments centered around the design of the propeller. In the early 20th century, no models existed to guide them. Most of their understanding came from their knowledge of boats, but they realized that a propeller designed for water wouldn't function efficiently in the air. They required a narrower blade that could achieve higher speeds. Without any existing designs to reference, the Wright brothers had to create the propeller from scratch. They debated various factors, including the propeller's speed, the exact angle at which the blades would strike the air, the velocity of their flying machine, and how airflow around the blades impacted aerodynamics. Each of these elements was intricately linked, presenting a significant challenge as they worked to engineer the ideal propeller. Wilbur, the older brother, was known for being highly disagreeable and indifferent to others' opinions. In contrast, Orville was gentle and more sensitive to criticism, yet he wasn't afraid to stand up to his older brother. Wilbur even remarked, "He's such a good scrapper," acknowledging Orville's tenacity when it came to their disagreements. At times, these debates would escalate into shouting matches. Their bike mechanic, Charlie Taylor, who assisted in building the engines for their planes, noted they'd shout at each other something terrible. "I don't think they really got mad, but they sure got awfully hot." Yet, they never attacked each other personally, but rather focused on challenging each other's viewpoints. After months of discussions, the Wright brothers finally grasped that a propeller functions like a rotating wing. As the propellers spin and push air backward, they generate a force known as thrust, which propels the airplane forward. This concept aligns with Newton's third law of motion, which states that for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. They ultimately realized that the airplane required not just one propeller, but two, spinning in opposite directions. This configuration allowed the rotation of one propeller to counterbalance the other, making the plane easier to control. They crafted the propellers from wood, shaping and sizing them with a hatchet and draw shave. They then chose to test their invention at Kitty Hawk, a small fishing village in North Carolina, renowned for its strong winds. When it came time to determine who would make the first flight on December 14, 1903, they resolved to avoid another argument by tossing a coin, with Wilbur winning. However, he missed the opportunity to be the first to fly successfully when he oversteered, causing the aircraft to climb too steeply, stall, and crash into the sand. After fixing the flyer, they tried again 3 days later. This time, Orville took the pilot's seat, and the plane remained airborne for 12 seconds, covering a distance of 120 feet, 37 meters. When asked afterward if he had been frightened, Orville replied, "Scared? There wasn't a single time. They flew a total of 4 times that day. The fourth and final flight, with Wilbur at the controls, was the most successful, lasting 59 seconds and covering 852 feet, 260 meters. In doing so, they proved to the world that humans could fly. Even after achieving this great feat, they didn't really celebrate. For the Wright brothers, it was business as usual. Their mechanic, Charlie Taylor, summed up their low-key reaction. "I thought it was pretty nice that they did what they set out to do, and I was glad the motor ran fine. But I don't remember any dancing or excitement. The boys were always so matter-of-fact and never tried to get me worked up. Even when they got home, there wasn't a special celebration in the shop. Of course, they were pleased with the flights, but their first words to me were about the motor being damaged. They were always focused on the next thing to do." Just as their disagreements were never personal, but always aimed at improving their planes, they didn't take time to celebrate. Instead, they concentrated on refining their aircraft. Now, their challenge was to demonstrate full control of the plane, including turning and flying longer distances, as their previous flights had been short and only in a straight line. Fortunately, a local landowner near their hometown of Dayton, Ohio, generously allowed the Wright brothers to use his cow pasture for testing. This saved them from the long journey back to Kitty Hawk for future flights. In 1904 and 1905, the Wright brothers conducted around 150 flights. One of their most impressive flights lasted 39 minutes, covering 24.5 miles, 39 kilometers, with Wilbur circling the field 29 times. When they finally unveiled their invention to the world, French aviator Léon Delagrange acknowledged the Wrights' superiority, simply stating, "Nous sommes battus," meaning, "we are beaten." The Wright brothers' intense debates drove them to achieve flight. As Wilbur noted, "Discussion brings out new ways of looking at things." Their arguments encouraged them to explore new ideas and push each other, which was crucial to their success. Without this dynamic, someone else might have made their mark in aviation history. Thanks for watching. If you found this video fascinating, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the science and technology that surrounds us. Stay curious and stay safe out there.